Hi everyone, I'm Marlene Moore, the creator of Back to Basics piano program, also known as the Back to Basics piano method and the Back to Basics piano teacher training program. It is based on love, achievement, freedom, and fun. And I've said so many times now, hopefully fun for the teacher, fun for the parent, and fun for the student. And it is an audiation method where we hear sound before sight. It is a rote teaching method that is done for about the first 3 or 4 books. The sight reading and the rote teaching is balanced at about book 4. Unless the child is a complete auditory learner, then sometimes it takes longer and requires more sight reading for that child. The sight reading and the ear training is balanced right from the beginning, but each child is different, so it requires a balance of the teacher doing sight reading right from the beginning and rote teaching right from the beginning too. Today I want to talk about dealing with parents. I also want to talk about Recital Protocol because I think that's very important, and one goes in hand in hand with the other. We've covered a lot of material in 32 videos. This is the last one today, so we have good cause to celebrate. I can only tell you about my experience, 50 years experience. I can't tell you about other people's experience because, there's no one way to teach piano. I know that. I'm not a closed in person that I think, well, my way is the only way. No, there's many ways to teach anything. But what I've offered is the results of my experience. In the 50 years that I taught piano, I learned that having a close relationship with a parent of the child is number one. And I learned that as a Suzuki piano teacher when I was younger. In Japan, it's not very difficult to get the mother to come to the piano lessons. It's a different culture. That's very difficult to do in North America. It's hard to get the parents to come, or the one, especially the mother or the father, but let's just say the mother for to save time. It's hard to get the mother to come because a lot of them work, a lot of them aren't interested, a lot of them have a totally different concept than of what you do as far as what they think piano should be. And lots of them would just love to drop the child off at the lesson and they have fun for half an hour or an hour and they pay you and that's it, and they never practice at home. Some teachers are okay with that. I was never okay with that because although I knew it wasn't my fault that the child wasn't doing very good, I wanted that child to experience music as a total experience of the joy that it can be. And that's why I did so much research on this. So, as far as Suzuki education goes, the parent in Japan is very easily talked into attending all lessons. The mother also is the at home teacher or tutor or mentor, if you want to say. She is the one who sits on this side of the piano over here on the left while the child practices, and she guides the child to do whatever you have done at the piano lesson. That's why these Japanese children can play like the wind, because they learn it at the lesson. The mother takes notes. The mother pays total attention. The mother is in charge of the practicing at home. They come back and they've practiced every day for 10 minutes or half an hour or whatever is the age of the child, and it makes your job so much easier. Well, it's a different story in North America and perhaps in England and other European countries too, because um, a lot of mothers don't want to come to the piano lessons. They just don't, for many, many, many different reasons. But if you can talk that mother into coming to the piano lesson, that's the child who is going to do extremely well if she does her job at home. So many teachers on pedagogy groups that I've watched on Facebook say, "Oh, I don't want the parent in the. I don't like having anybody in the room watching me." Well, that's fine, but I'm just sharing with you what I have learned. And what I've learned is that the parent, if you've got this close association with the parent, even though the teacher is the one in charge, the parent does not interrupt, but if you have that close relationship, and if the parent realizes that this is her job, is to sit there quietly, take notes, and then do this homework at home with the child for 10 minutes every day, your job is so much easier. That's what I would like to share. The other thing is the group classes once a month. That was so successful. It got rid of stage fright in children that had terrible stage fright. And especially the young ones that started at age 3, they never knew what stage fright was because they came once a month and they learned to play in front of all the other children, and it became a joyful experience. And there was no negativity. Everybody clapped. Everybody was very positive. We all got to say, what did we like best about that piece or the way she played that piece? So those group classes are also very, very, very important. And it took me a year of group classes to learn this, but I started to invite 1 or 2 parents to each of the performance group classes. And this gave the parents a good insight into what the other children were doing. And guess what? Some of those mothers that did not want to come to piano lessons saw how the students were doing so well whose mothers did come to the piano lessons, and human beings being competitive beings, guess what? They started coming to the piano lessons. So it takes a lot of dedication on your part. It takes a lot of patience, but it can be done. It can be done. I did it, and I did not have 100% success. No, no way. I had maybe about 75% because not all mothers will come. I had one grandmother who came, and she also lived with them, so she was the one who supervised the practicing at home. I had one dad that came, and he was very good at it, even though he worked. He went home, and they had their practice time, and he was the one who brought the child to the lesson. So, and I had a nanny that came. There was one child that had a nanny, and she was the one who did that half-hour practice at home. You have to teach the nanny or the child or the parent what you're doing. You have to teach them the important parts if there's something going on there. How long does this go on? Well, age 3, 4, 5, I would keep the parent there. If a child starts at age 6, I would say, I would like you to come at least for the first year. If a child starts at age 7, I would say, I would like you to come for the first 6 months and sit there and take notes and then do this at home with your child. It works. So you don't have to do it forever, but it is a good way to start. It's a very, very nurturing way. It's a wonderful way to start. Anyway, we're talking about dealing with parents. I hope you have a policy sheet that when there's a new child enroll, you haul out your policy sheet. It could be 10 pages long or 1 page, and you outline everything that you expect. You want your expectations and your rules and regulations to be in writing. You want the parent to be able to take that home. You want the parent to be able to sign that. They agree to whatever. This has to do with your fees and your rules of your studio and whatever you want to put in there. We're all different. Um, so make sure that that is done at the first meeting. Okay. Some people charge a registration fee. I did. With every new student that enrolled, I charged $45 registration fee. How much do you charge? Well, I would ask around. There in the United States and Canada, there are certain areas that charge a lot, and there are certain areas where people are not as well off and teachers cannot charge as much. In Los Angeles, some piano teachers are charging $125 an hour. In rural places, a teacher might be lucky to get $50 an hour. So it all depends on where you live. How do you advertise? The one thing that worked for me was a sign down at the end of my driveway that said piano teacher and an arrow. And then in my mailbox on the house, I put brochures. I put do not ring doorbell. I put brochures with my name and what I did, and asked them to take a brochure and call me. That way you don't have people ringing your doorbell all day. If you live in an apartment, you have to do it a different way. But now with the digital world that we live in, there are many, many new ways to do this, even advertising on Facebook. So you have to get very creative with that. Have a good piano. Make sure that it's in tune. Mine doesn't ever go out of tune because I have a choice of 12 different sounds of piano. But, acoustic pianos still are better for teaching piano. That's for sure. I have this because I'm a composer. What else can I tell you about dealing with parents? I used to send home report cards at Christmas and in May. Just a little check, a little box that you check on each thing that they're doing. What their ear training is like, their sight reading, cooperation, little things like that. The same as they do in school. That perks up the ears of the parents. We're going to talk about recitals in a minute, but I think the biggest thing that you can do is get your parents involved with the recital. Parents get to know one another. They get to see Mrs. Smith's child plays better than my child. What is she doing that I'm not doing? They talk, parents talk. I know, I'm a parent. You probably are too. Anyway, those are some little helpful hints. I have found with some teachers that I've trained that there is how would I call it, a social worker mentality. Not that there's anything wrong with being a social worker, but I don't think it has its place in being a piano teacher. Many piano teachers try to save money by buying cheaper books or cheaper sheet music. Why? The parents are paying for this. I had one teacher say to me one time, well, I'm trying to save my parents some money. Why? They make more money than you do. It takes composers a long time to write a book. and to have it engraved and to have it edited and to find a publisher and to design the covers and to put 40 or 45 pages into a book and have it spiral bound. $10 or $12 is not too much for a book. It's really not. Parents are paying for these books. If you want a good book, you should be able to pay for it. So don't be a social worker when it comes to saving costs for your parents. It's just not your place. If someone is struggling financially, well, I've heard that teachers lowered the rate for those people. That's up to you. That's up to you. But anyway, don't be a social worker when it comes to piano. When you're buying your own music, pay the price. Try to do that. You know, let's think about living composers. I'm one. I'm a living composer. Let's think about where the money is going. Okay? Alrighty, let's talk about recitals. Recitals can be wonderful or they can be absolutely horrendous. I have heard of piano teachers that give the students the music notation about 4 weeks before the recital and say, learn this is what you're going to play for the recital. Absolutely wrong. Very, very wrong. Don't do that. To learn a piece and to memorize a piece, depending on what level the student is at, I always gave my students their pieces for May, the end of May. I gave them those pieces in November of the previous year so that they could play those pieces perfectly. They were taught by rote. They were played perfectly at all of our group classes, several group classes beforehand. And by the time they got to actually do the recital, there were no stage nerves. There was no having to put up notation in front of them that can fall on the floor. I think I mentioned I've watched some beginner and intermediate recitals in the last couple of months, and some of them have been just terrible. You can tell that the teacher has really not thought about it at all. We're not training concert pianists. We're not training children to be robots. We're trying to, in doing recitals, we're trying to uphold a very, very sacred tradition. The tradition of the piano recital goes way, way, way back to Bach and before. And I guess it was Franz Liszt that made the piano recital its ultimate visual experience, visual and auditory experience. He was the one who wanted the piano this way so that everyone could see his lovely profile. But aside from all of those little anecdotes, it is something that children should be exposed to, whether or not they're going to study piano for the rest of their lives, or if they're simply going to enjoy a few years of piano. They like this. It is repetitive, and it gives them a sense of having some kind of control. So let's teach them right. I'm going to show you Recital Protocol just as soon as I check our time here. Doing very well. Okay, I'm going to pretend that I am back here and I'm in the audience. Okay. My name is Susie. I'm a little girl, and it's my turn to play in the recital, and this piano is on a stage. Now, when Susie comes up to play, she is looking for an X on the floor, a mark on the floor so that she can stand on that mark and do her bow. Her bow, she puts her hands on each side, not grabbing onto your clothing, just hanging down to the side, and then she looks down at her toes and back up again. And of course, everyone will be clapping while this is happening. And she sits down very, very slowly, puts her hands on her knee, because she's been taught how to do all of this. And now she breathes in 3 times slowly while her hands are on her knee. 1, 2, in the nose, out the mouth. 3. This centers Susie so that she is able to play. And now she puts her hands on here, takes her time, finds her pedal. The teacher has previously gotten this piano bench sitting where it should be, and she plays her little piece. Now Susie lifts up her hands like this, puts them on her knee, breathes in 3 times. Slowly. And everybody, of course, is clapping. If she's got a long dress on, she lifts the dress slightly, walks 1, 2, 3 to where that mark is, hands at the sides, and does her concert bow right there. Now, did you notice that Susie made a mistake? Susie's been taught that if she makes a mistake at a recital, she has a choice of starting the piece again or keep on going. And Susie, checked the box to keep on going. That's been drilled into her. Did you notice that Susie wasn't nervous? Because she has been to group class every month from September to end of May for 2 years. Okay, at her piano lessons. Did you notice that Susie didn't use any notation up there? She doesn't need it. The piece is memorized. The teacher gave her the piece in November. All right, let's try this again. Now everyone has applauded. Susie's done her bow, and she doesn't run off the stage. Lots of children run. She walks ladylike, very gracefully, back to her seat. Now, let's take George. George is a beginner. He only knows 3 pieces. The teacher will be sitting here, right here, so that if George has any problems, she can help him. She can whisper to him, or she can take and put his hand in the right spot. She takes time to fix, the teacher takes time to fix the bench so that it is adjusted correctly for George. And then she sits in her little chair beside the piano on the stage. So here comes George. He's only 4 years old, right? But he knows that this is his spot. The teacher marked it on the floor, and he's looking down now at his feet. The teacher told him to smile, so he's going to try to manage a smile while he crawls up on the bench here. But he doesn't have any music notation. He knows his piece. He knows how to play hopping. But his hands are on his knees, He's done his 3 breaths, and he does his little hopping piece. Hand on the knee, take a breath. Everyone is clapping, and he doesn't jump or crawl off of this. He walks, because he's done this so many times at group class, and he does his little bow slowly and walks off to the edge of the stage where the stairs are, to sit beside the other children or to sit beside his parents. Okay? I hope you will go through that drill with your students. It does help so much. It really, 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 really helps a lot. It gives them a structure. If you are focusing only on what food you're going to serve for the recital, or what refreshments, or how nervous you are, or what you should play, it leaves a lot to be desired. Focus on the structure. Focus on this with every one of your group classes. And you will be very, very surprised and very, very rewarded. It's been my pleasure to do 32 teacher training videos for you. I hope you have learned something. I hope you have enjoyed them. I hope that it will give you some form of organization towards your teaching your students. I believe that my job in doing this was to inspire you. Hopefully I have inspired you. I hope so that you can inspire your students, because that's what it's all about. We have to be able to play with ease. We need to love music. We need to be able to inspire ourselves and our students. We need to love what we do. I hope you love what you do. I hope that you will consider doing our little exam and benefiting by getting one of our Back to Basics teacher training certificates to put on your wall. It's not a hard exam, and you just need to play a few pieces and answer a few questions, and that will be something that you can do. I just need to see who's going to be able to be certified, and please do a little bit of communication with me on that in our Facebook group. Okay? Thank you so much for listening, and enjoy your students. God bless all of you. Bye for now.